Also tossing up how many buttons to have undone. Hello, KFC SuperCoaches. It's the Teams Podcast, round 22. Head-to-head finals are coming up next week, so it's time to get our teams in order. And Latrell Mitchell is back. Rob Sutherland is with me again. Are you going to bring Latrell in this week?
No, Thomas. I will be death riding Latrell from here to home.
Yep.
I am getting a fullback, but I can't afford Latrell. So I'm getting rid of a bloke who scored 111 points last week. Very sensible thing to do. And I'm bringing in a guy who's averaging considerably less than that.
So, tell us the names. You're being a bit cryptic here.
Only because I couldn't remember. No, Will Kennedy out and Dylan Edwards is coming in. Look, Dylan Edwards is not Mr. Sexy. He's not Reece Walsh. He's not Latrell Mitchell. He's good. He's safe. He's 65, 70-plus points. He's got two good matchups, Sharks and Manly. He's got Nathan Cleary back. I just feel much more comfortable playing him and his high work rate than Will Kennedy as my second fullback.
Yep, fair enough. No Latrell for me either. I'm just worried about that bye in round 26, and I want to see how he returns from that injury as well. But as you wrote today in your Q&A, the Rabbitohs need to start winning, and Latrell needs to be at the centre of that.
100%. And Latrell back is big for Supercoach outside of Latrell. It's big for Cody Walker. It's big for Kalyle Matangi. It's potentially big for Cam Murray, who I think's possibly the South Sydney buy of the week, but we can get into it later. But I think, for value, I think Cam Murray's even a better buy than Latrell. But he opens up the entire back line, so it's big for everyone.
Send through your questions and comments on Facebook or YouTube. We'll get to them in a sec. For now, let's talk about the winners. Latrell, obviously top of the list. Next up, Jacob Preston. So he was out with the flu last week, but he is back for the Doggies. Good news. I mean, you're probably not going to play him unless you have to. But with guys like Tohu Harris out this week on the bye, then Preston could be a guy that you bring into your 17.
Yeah, Preston's very much like Bateman, isn't he? It's the guy you probably don't want to have to play, but if you did, you'd be comfortable getting 60 to 65, 70, things go well.
I also don't hate the trade of Preston to Cam Murray this week. And look, we'll get to Murray later on, but I think he is a really good purchase. Yep. Losers from the teams. So Dan Russell is the cheapie of the week. He has been named to start again for the Dragons, but they got Jack Bird on the bench. Look, he probably should be on the winners list in terms of the teams, but in terms of Supercoach, with Ben Murdoch-Masila to come back into that team as well, I think he could be an AE nightmare just waiting to happen.
Look, there's nothing I want at the Dragons. I'm sorry, Tommy. I really don't.
There's nothing I want at the Dragons, except we're not going to get the wooden spoon.
Well, it's still time. In the Q&A, people were sort of talking about Lomax. You take a chance on Lomax. He's got double tons, but he'll break your heart. There's just no. It's just a hard pass.
Yeah, he got played 70 minutes on the weekend and got 40-odd points. This is back to Dan Russell. And he's got dual position. So at another time of the season, there's potential there for him to be a decent player, but you don't want an AE nightmare at this time of year.
Hasn't got the time to make the money.
Tyrone Munro. So we thought he might be a chance to come back. He's got a minor injury. He has been the most popular cheapie for about a month now, but he's not named there at the Bunnies. You could look at it as good or bad. I would have liked for him to play this week up against the Tigers.
Yeah, it's a funny thing, the Tigers as well, isn't it? And that, we keep picking players because they're playing the Tigers and they're going to go big, and then they don't. It's not that the Tigers have played great, but they can play tight. It's almost outside backs are better off against the Dragons. They're the team who really leaks points out wide, or the Sharks, which we'll talk about in a bit. But yeah, it's a real shame. I would have liked him to play. I probably would have played him in the 17. And Isaac Tungo, now interesting one, right? Because anyone who was watching Fox broadcast that game would have seen before the game that he was out and that they said he was likely going to miss this week. And then the scuttlebutt was, it's only a minor thing, he's going to be back. They basically announced it. They didn't hide it. They told us.
Yep, so if you did bring him in last week, he was one of the most popular purchases last week, then he probably is a sell. Take some questions. We got Jonathan asking SJ or Hines to Cleary.
Yeah.
So halfback is such a good position. And it's probably going to win or lose the Supercoach the 50k for someone, what would you be doing there? For me, it's Hines and Cleary all the way.
For me, this week I'll be holding Hines, not with any great hopes, but look, this is probably a good chance to say the Sharks were absolutely putrid on the weekend against Manly, and the scoreline is completely deceptive in that the Sharks only started scoring and going forwards when Manly had lost their two starting props and their lock. And then the Sharks did something. Like, they're not going to do anything against Penrith if they play that way. They're just going to get ground into the dust. But Hines seems to be capable of scoring 65 even when his team are rubbish.
Yep.
So I'm going to pick him and play him this week. But I am leaning, despite my reservations over the past fortnight, towards selling him to SJ next week and riding the hot hand, riding the great draw, because the Sharks draw is not great. And as hard as Nico's playing and as well as Nico's playing, the team around him, outside of maybe like Nikora, is the only guy you could give a pass to. And maybe Katoa, the right side's going, but everyone else is rubbish.
Look, Nico and the Sharks...
That's too much. It's too strong,
Nico,
isn't it?
Nico and the
Cameron
Sharks...
McInnes is a tremendous guy. And maybe I've been too hard on him. Maybe I'll give him a pass.
Former Dragon, Cameron McInnes. Look, Nico was on 21 with about 7 minutes to go over the weekend. Ended up with 60... What did he end up with? 70 odd.
So high 70s, I think.
In a well-beaten team, and this is try assist very close to full time, when there was nothing, they had nothing to lose at that point, it must be said. In any case, I still think that Nico as a captaincy option is pretty solid, even with the tough matchups.
You surely couldn't captain him against Penrith.
Not against Penrith, but I think in another couple of matchups on the way home, you can.
I think like I've had a look. I think I can find enough juggling good matchups between Cody Walker, Nathan Cleary, and Cam Munster, and even maybe Ponga. I can find enough captains there that I can let Hines go and have a crack at SJ. I mean, Hines is still averaging 100, but I think I'll do it.
D is saying, when did the guns make it to the table? Sangster, you're looking good. Oh, there we go.
Wow.
Happy days. Don't often get too many compliments on this show, so thank you.
You have been working hard though, Thomas.
No, not really. Just that I've been sick for so many weeks that I've lost so much weight. Use 2 trades for Mitchell and Murray or Walker. What are your thoughts there? All Rabbitohs, round 26 is obviously the issue, so look at that first.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the upside is Walker and Latrell, isn't it? Murray, it's probably a good chance to talk about him, that he's gone really well last couple of weeks. The Rabbitohs need to win, which means they're giving him time. When Murray's played under 60 minutes or 60 minutes and under, I think he's averaging 47 this year, and in the other games where he's played over 60 minutes, he's averaging 65. That's not amazing, but it's pretty good. I think they have to win. They're going to give him all the minutes that he can handle. And what that means is you're getting 60-plus in base with the upside of 85, 90.
Lots of comments coming through. I don't know if this is an in-joke from your Q&A, but Adam is saying, Rob, can you get me the shark fin soup recipe from the food editor? Is there anything there?
No.
It's a blank on that one.
No, that's over my head, which is not unusual. I'm not the sharpest tool.
Thinking of using my final trade of the season on Hines to SJ. I mean, you spoke about that.
Yeah, but I'd wait till next week.
Scott Sorensen as a sneaky pod for the run home.
Doing well, isn't he? It's a brave move, but I don't hate it. What do you think?
Oh, look, I think it's too brave for me, and I don't have enough trades to do it. But if I had 10 trades, I'd give it a crack.
It's probably a good chance for me to have a bit of a mea culpa, though, Thomas.
Yeah.
I believe in the show last week you criticised Isaiah Yeo. You said he was really boring, very bland. Described him as the white picket fence of rugby league, something like that. I thought that was too much.
That was definitely not me.
And he came out last week. He scored a try. His try celebration was probably aimed at you. He was unhappy with that description.
Mate, 100%. It was good to see Isaiah Yeo, and talking of mea culpas, 100%.
It was a mea culpa.
On to the buys. Nathan Cleary. Do you just have to get him in? Is he a must-have?
He barely looked like he got out of second gear, which you can completely understand coming back off a hamstring. Still scored in the 80s. I was very glad they went back and gave him that try assist for Stephen Crichton's, where Crichton did all the work from like 20 metres out. But Cleary picked it up at dummy half. He had to give it to someone, so they gave it to him. And more importantly, maybe, so he's got a match into his legs, and he's running at the left-hand side of the Cronulla defence, which has been poor, is possibly a nice term for that.
They've lost another guy there this week in Colquhoun.
Colquhoun, yeah. So they bring back Wade Graham. Yeah, get a veteran back, that's a good thing. But like that left edge just is being picked apart. Cleary is going to run at that and pick it apart more. He's my captain this week.
Onto Reece Walsh is an interesting one because the run home is so tough.
Yeah.
But it was a pretty tough matchup on the weekend, and he's ended up cracking a ton. Every time we say don't get on, he just, the run is going to end. He just comes out and does something crazy and then pulls off a backflip at the end of it.
Yeah. The draw's terrible, and they've got another bye. I think, don't they have their last bye, like round 24 or something like that? So I think you're only getting 5 out of the 6 games from him. I could be wrong, but I've got that in my head. But, he's also the upside guy. I think he's got 7 games of 90-plus in 15 played. It's pretty impressive. I still think I'd find a different way in. I wanted to say one thing I was really watching that Broncos game and Cody Walker because I had him and vice-captained him. And Stags played him a treat in that they knew Cody was a threat, and he just sprinted out at Cody every time, really put him off his game. And when I sort of talk about Latrell coming back unlocks Cody, that's exactly how he unlocks Cody, because Latrell looming inside or outside Cody, you've got to respect it, right? So the centre's got to mark up that big-bodied fullback, which frees Cody to then make those decisions.
Yep, great call there. Cameron Murray's next on the list. I'm considering doing it, maybe going Preston down to him to free up a little bit of cash, maybe going Tohu Harris down to him to free up some cash, although I do like Tohu Harris's dual position flexibility. Look, I don't mind it. Will I be playing him in my 17 every week from here until the end of the season? Potentially, but it looks like his minutes could go up. The Rabbitohs have to win, which means they need Cameron Murray on the field.
It's a little sideways, right? Like, if you're not going to play him in your 17, then I'm like, why make the trade?
I only need to free up $20,000.
Oh, yeah, we talked about that. Yeah, you needed to free. Yeah.
So, yeah, it's not.
In that case,
it is. So I just need the smallest little bit of cash just to get Cleary in this week.
You save $20K and you get a legitimate player. Yep.
Moving on to Cameron Munster. Your thoughts on him? Leg injury?
Looked better.
Yeah?
Yeah, looked better. Geez, the Knights were good. This isn't super coachy, but geez, they were really bloody good. It was great to watch. And the sort of the night that is standing out in Supercoach land, if you're super brave, is Tyson Frizzell. He's running around Ponga and just looking great. But back to Munster, I think you've got to get him. $6.40 is still a good price.
Yep.
Lock him in. He mixes and matches quite well with Cody in some easy games. So, yeah, it's good.
Yep, I like that trade. And James Tedesco has been... Look, it's been a pretty rough season for him, but Supercoach-wise, 6-round average of basically 90.
Yeah.
That's huge. I've owned him from the start of the season, so I've gone through the peaks and the troughs, but I'm certainly holding for the rest of the year. Hopefully the Roosters, now that they don't have anything to play for, can just free themselves, and him and Joey Manu will be at the centre of that.
Yeah, look, Teddy's been great. I'm not going to own him. I can't own him from here. In a way, it's kind of a bittersweet choice because I still enjoy watching him no matter what if he goes well. Joey Manu did exactly what we want from him at centre. Well, I would have if I was an owner. As a non-owner, it wasn't great to see him go out and get involved. And that's what I talked about. If he's going to move to centre, that's fine, but they're going to let him roam, and that's what he did. Yeah.
Yep, I like that as well. Onto the holds. Tohu Harris, thoughts on him? Bye this week. He is definitely on the decline in terms of his scores and minutes. Maybe they've been waiting to rest him up over this bye. I don't know. But he does have that crucial dual position flexibility, which is really handy for my team. I'm leaning towards a hold at the moment, but I could certainly see why you would go him to a genuine keeper or him to Cameron Murray.
Yeah, it's a mixture, I think, of they've now got the bodies back that they can afford not to ask a lot from Tohu. AFB's Fanua Blake's playing 60-odd minutes at front row. Curran's coming in and filling a role in the middle. Barnett's there. They don't need Tohu to play 70-plus minutes. It looks like they're certain to play finals, so you might as well, take a bit of a load off a bloke who's held together by elastoplast, right? not great for us in Supercoach land.
Yep. Questions coming through on Facebook and on YouTube as well. We'll take a YouTube one now. Manu or Meany out for Cody Walker? I'd be tempted to hold Joey Manu, to be honest, because I like what I'm seeing from him roaming around the field. Meany, look, I don't know.
He's a goal kicker, and you get that safety. But I think Manu's the upside guy, so I would hold Manu.
What are the odds that Latrell plays? I think pretty good. I mean, unless he pings it again at training. It looks like they held him back last week so that he can be 100% this week.
Totally. They've got to start winning, right?
Yeah, he has to play. Nathan Hick is saying, how many trades do you have left?
Well, at the start of this week, I have 2. At the end of this week, I'll have 1.
Ooh,
and
nasty.
You know what? I'm going to burn it next week, and there's a freedom. There's a freedom that comes with having no trades. You can just let it ride. It's like you touch the third rail, and you just ride it all the way home.
I've got more trades than you, that's for sure.
Mate.
6 coming into the week, so I'll end up with 4 after getting Cleary in. Latrell or Walsh? That's from Luke Easton.
It's the $1 million question, right?
Yeah, I'd go for Latrell out of those two. I think Walsh has run home. I know that the Broncos fell in a heap last year, and I thought it might start happening from last week against the Rabbitohs, and it didn't. They were really strong, but they do have some really tough matchups.
They play everyone as top 4, top 8, plus the Roosters. We mentioned that he's sort of matchup proof, but it's got to be Latrell because it's got to happen, or Souths, who I think are arguably the second or third best team in the comp, aren't going to make the finals, which would be stunning. So Latrell, he's got to put him on his broad back and take him home.
Let's run through all of the teams now. Broncos v Roosters is the first clash at the Gabba. Flegler is back for the Broncos. They got Mariner to the wing with Jesse Arthurs out suspended, and Pia Kura is in for Marty Tapau, who has copped a hefty-ish suspension.
Tempted to kick the door down. Must have been a brain fade.
Absolutely.
It's not Marty's
brain
going.
Fade. Anyone else standing out for you here other than Reece Walsh?
Payne Haas.
You just lock him in.
Yeah, like Tony Staggs, don't let him break your heart. He scored 120, he had a great game, but he won't do it again. No, not next week.
At the Roosters, Radley was rested or hamstring tightness last week. He's back at lock. Anything else standing out?
Joey Manu, Teddy, we've mentioned the main hits here.
Tigers v the Rabbitohs. At the Tigers, they have Luke Brooks back into that team, so that could unlock a little bit of attack there, including a guy like Jareen Buller, if you've held on to him. Having said that, you should have sold Buller a fair while ago. Yep. Nothing else? Nothing else you want to get out, don't you?
No, I don't. I'm loving it. But I just have no value to add.
Rabbitohs, Latrell's back is the big one. Campbell, I'll throw to you on Campbell Graham. What are your thoughts on him?
Oh, I think I said it all in the Q&A.
I'm just letting you repeat what you said in the Q&A.
I can't remember exactly what it was. It was something along the lines of... I wouldn't want my kids to go up to his van if he was driving around the neighbourhood distributing lollies. But I would like him, to play for my life. Like, he was on nothing, and the team did nothing last week, and he still finished on 67 points or something. He's just safe. That was it. I think it was around him being safe. He's safe in Supercoach, but not around your kids. I mean, that's strictly his job.
We'll get that clipped up for TikTok for sure.
Or the lawyers.
Storm be the Eels. Interesting decisions here by the Storm, and I'm not sure if they are injury affected, but certainly Remus Smith being out is. But they've got a full new centre pairing of Marion Seve and young Tona Mapia, plus Nelson Solomona is out as well.
Yeah, he was lucky. He was told to pull his finger out, so he did. Because
you road tested that one before in the office.
Didn't work, so I thought I'd try it here. Yeah. He did what Big Marty did. He basically needs someone in the head, and nothing's been made of it. He's completely escaped sanction or attention because it's the Storm, right? They're just protected by the media.
Here we go.
We should have a chat with someone in the media and ask why.
There we go.
Why, Thomas?
Lawyers, please don't be watching. At the Eels, Sean Lane, dislocated elbow. So that means Davey goes into the edge back row position. Ryan Madison He's
Can't
getting
get in.
completely shafted.
Yeah.
So they just want to play him in the middle, it seems. And they've got Hopgood as their middle guy. So it's looking tough for Maddo, who I own, thinking that he'd come back and start playing big minutes at some stage.
Ha-ha.
Haha, there you go.
There you go. How's that for analysis?
Huge.
Suck on that.
Raiders v the Knights. Same 17 for the Raiders. Anyone?
Look, it's interesting that I think that was the other sort of point I raised was that if you were doing a beefcake calendar, Joey Tarpanay's your man, right? Out of the Raiders forwards. There's no question he's the bloke you want to see with his shirt off. But Corey Horsburgh is the bloke you want in your Supercoach team. He's not much to look at, but he just keeps working. That sticks that big red head in, makes another 50 tackles, makes plenty of runs, plays 70 minutes. Outstanding.
All right. Knights. Daniel Safedi's
That's it, you
out.
don't want
Jacob
any more-
Sonata, I'm just
more
getting,
analysis.
I'm getting out of that. You've already spoken about Reece Walsh's eyes and
Teddy's ass.
Teddy's ass.
Oh.
Tapanay's,
We should do like a
everything.
Supercoach body.
what?
Like the ultimate.
score every
Yeah,
part.
I'm objectifying, man, I'm sorry.
Yeah. Dragons v the Sea Eagles. Dragons have got...
Knights, Greg Marzou.
Oh.
Outstanding.
Yep, absolutely.
Carlin Ponga, pretty good.
Going very well.
Yep.
And would you like VC or C? Either
Not-
of those two?
Nah,
this week? Raiders
not
pretty
in
good
this game.
matchup.
I'm going to VC Walker.
And it's down in Canberra as well.
Yeah, it'd be cold.
Dragons v the Seagulls. Dragons have got, obviously, Moses Mbai, who's left the club, and a bloke whose name I cannot pronounce is coming at number 14, Connor Mulhison.
Mullison? I'd
Mullison?
go with Mullison.
Yep. Makes sense. Obviously, Dan Russell is the guy that everyone's getting on, but we've already said don't go there. Anyone else standing out?
No, I mean, Lomax double hundreds. It's not going to happen again, surely.
At the Sea Eagles, Paseka is out, Aloe is out, and Gerbo has a concussion, but he has been named, so you'll have to pass protocol there.
I mean, Garrick's pretty good. Outside of that, it's probably not a lot I want at Manly. Respect to Daly Cherry Evans for standing up for the RLPA. I stand with the players. Good on you, boys.
Panthers v the Sharkies. At the Panthers, they got Lenu out, which means Eisenhuth comes in. And then, as we mentioned before, no Isaac Tungol in that team at all. Everyone's all about Cleary. Who are you about here?
Well, Dylan Edwards, because I brought him into my team.
Sorry, keep
Go
going.
on, no, go on.
Like this matchup against the Sharks. So Sharks have been horrible for a couple of weeks now.
Yeah.
Is this actually a good matchup, or will the Sharks bounce back?
No, because the Sharks, as I said earlier, the Sharks did really well when Manly were missing all their middles. They're coming up against, like James Fisher-Harris had made, I think he made 11 hit-ups in 20 minutes. Leota was like 9 hit-ups in 20 minutes. Those two just dominate the middle, right? And then they go off, and in comes Lindsay Smith, who's been like a reborn sort of, character. On your right-hand side, Stephen Crichton's probably going to score 2. Brian To'o's probably going to score 3. Cleary's going to set up all 5 of them. It could be anything.
At the Sharkies, got Wade Graham back from that toe injury. Finucane out for the season is something we should mention.
That
too.
hurts.
Big NRL news, not so much for Supercoach, but that's a massive blow in what's already a pretty depleted pack.
Yeah, Johnny Rambo is like a bit of a heart and soul of that team. He just when he leads the team out at 1,000,000 miles an hour, it's the fastest he runs all game is when he comes out onto the field. I always like when someone's having their anniversary game and they're out like carrying a kid, and Finucane just tears past him and almost takes the kid's ears off. It's awesome.
The things that you notice in a game of rugby league.
A bit strange, isn't it?
Bulldogs, 8 new faces at the Doggies in that team. So plus they could be getting Takiaho as well for this season, or immediate transfer.
500k a year. I love Siwa, but he went over there on one knee. Unless he's like got a knee replacement while he's over there, I struggle with this one.
Get him kicking goals. He's not going to take that. many
Supercoach
shots,
relevant then.
but- Dolphins, we got the hammer back to fullback, which is good news. If you've held him for Supercoach, it's probably you probably should have got rid of him. You're a little bit. Are you excited about Nikorima? I don't know. You seem to be umming and ahhing a bit.
I was very happy to see Nikorima at 6 because I think Nikorima goes as well at 6 as he does at fullback. Less runs, more defence, but he's right in the middle of the attack. What I don't like is that Milford's there, right? So that worries me. But flip side of that is it's really good as a Asako owner because Nikorima unlocks Asako. Asako's just tanked ever since Nikorima moved fullback and wasn't feeding him. He's going to go, I think, way better, not just because it's against the Dogs. It is a better Dogs, but I think we'll go better against the Dogs. I think he'll score, and Nikorima will put him through. My worry is, what does Milford do? Where does he fit?
Titans v the Cowboys. Stimson is starting for the Titans, but not a great deal doing there. David Fafita. Late captaincy option, but it's against the Cowboys, who are in seriously good form.
And a little risky in that, he only played 60 minutes last week. The game was sort of there to be won at the end, and that's when he came on, but didn't get a lot of the ball. That said, even if Fafita's playing 60 minutes, I'm playing him in my team because 60 minutes Fafita can be 95 points pretty fast.
At the Cowboys, Nanai is out for 4 to 6 weeks with that shoulder injury, which means they have a new back rower in the team.
I believe, and apologies if I get it wrong, it's Kulikefu Fini Fuiaki.
Very nice. At this club, though, they've got some seriously good attacking players for SuperCoach. I know of one person who we both know who is bringing in Scott Drinkwater this week at 1 point. It's almost 1.1 mil. Would you be doing that? He's also putting the captaincy on him.
Look, maybe if I had the money, if money was my druthers, and I'll have to admit, so I needed a fullback and I had 2 trades. There was a little part of me tempted to nuff out and go up to Drinkwater, but in the end I couldn't do it. Can he maintain it? I don't know.
That's the issue there. It's a lot of money. Questions until the end of the show. Michael Motherwell is saying, SuperCoach Live, the homoerotic edition.
I'll undo a button each time. Oh, yeah. Right. No, it's Tommy.
I was talking to you before about whether I should do that one up. What have we got here? Thinking of putting the captaincy on Garrick, AJ or Ponga. Which of these 3 would be a better option?
Well,
Garrick, Scott. I would say not Alex Johnson. That's just too risky.
Maybe Ponga. He's in pretty good form, but I really struggle to go past Cleary as a captaincy choice, or even go early and go on a Rabbitohs play.
So is Nelson out definitely? Yeah, he has not. He's not been named.
The club said he was out. I think it was a
finger injury.
I think dislocated finger, had a minor surgery.
Yeah, sorry, that got lost in Rob's joke, but he is actually injured, and it's a finger injury.
Yeah.
Sangster, why did my Nuff get named on the Dragons bench? So that must be for feeder, I guess.
Ryan Couchman?
Or Couchman.
Jaden Hunt. It's hard to keep track of all the Nuffs that you would possibly have in the Dragons team. Oh, no, Connor Mullerson. That's his bench guy. Sorry,
Right. Yeah, well, should have gone Viliami for feeder. That's who I went with. Mulatalo to Graham.
I would do that.
I quite like that. Mulatalo's just been disappointing for me. Is Rob back on the painkillers? Where are the rants? Where is the rage?
Oh, I thought I had a fair crack. No, I'm not. I'm not back on the painkillers. I'm feeling good. I'm still alcohol-free, Thomas.
Oh, how good. That's just why you're so pepped.
Yeah, it is. I think that's why I'm upbeat. I'll have to go back on the depressants, the legal depressants.
Well, that is it for the Teams Podcast, round 22. Big thanks to Rob. Game Day Podcast is at 11 a.m. on Thursday, and we'll see you then.